Free your mind now. Be part of People's Pan-African Parliament, the Pan-African Pyramid Debate with your speaker, Andrew Irumba Katusabe.
Thank you for joining us. This is the Pan-African Pyramid Show here at Fair Hotel. My name is Andrew Irumba Katusabe, your speaker. I am joined by a number of universities here in Uganda, from Kampala University, from Kyambogo University, from Makerere University, LDC, and then also have some distinguished guests here amidst us. We also have an online audience from Kenya. I was actually in Kenya last week, and there is quite a number of people following us here in Uganda. The topic is simple. Is the Western world to blame for economic crisis in Africa? I want to use very short time, so Mr. Chair will ask you to use about maximum of 10 minutes. Thank you so much.
Good evening, my fellow Pan-Africanists, those who are present here where we are, and those ones who are listening online using the latest technology. The total GDP for Africa is about 6.7 trillion US dollars. Now, one of the impediments of Africa's economic growth is mainly on the following problems. One, the debt burden. You know, Africa has a serious chronic problem which is associated with laziness. People have identified Africa and Uganda in general as the most laziest people on the earth. The laziest person is a person who always become a dependent on others. That's why all the time we borrow money. If I was checking in my research, Africa has the highest debt burden in the world, with over 185 billion US dollars. This is the latest from Africa. Yes. So the lazy people want to borrow from those ones you are claiming that we are the problem. You are borrowing because you are incapacitated mentally, because we are physically okay. But what we are asking, whether we are mentally okay. Okay? Why do we borrow more? And even what we are borrowing, as I'm going to see in my next presentation, even the borrowed money is not used the way how it's supposed to be used. Others can ask, where does that money go? Since all of you are scholars, you know where it goes. So, number one is debt burden. Now, the IMF and World Bank, because they know that we are weak in terms of thinking, lesser in terms of implementation, lesser in terms of creativity, they know that we need to survive, and the only way to survive is by depending on handouts. And therefore they have to keep on giving us money. And also that money comes with some other conditions. Now when they are sending that money to us, we say, the Wazungu are bad. But you were starving. You cannot run and implement your budget. You can imagine even in Uganda here, we finance about, is it 45 or about 45, 48% of the total budget. So where does the rest of the money comes from? From those people you are criminalizing. The problem is mainly caused by the Congo's instability.
Caused by who?
By imperialists.
Are we aware that the imperialists are the ones causing that?
Yes, because they are interested in their natural resources.
If we are aware, what are we doing about it as Africa?
Yeah, because the only thing is that now, if you are to ask an African leader, because we are neighbors, we are just watching, but we know.
You know?
We are just watching.
You know?
Yes, we know. We know. Uganda, you know. Don't you know that in Congo is the richest country in the whole world? And therefore, the Western world cannot allow Congo to stabilize. And we know here. But the question now, what have you done about it? The other time, that's when I was telling you, in a neighboring country, Congo, Rwanda, there was Juba. Instead of having a summit to talk about the crisis in the Great Lakes region, and especially in Congo, they were busy celebrating the coming of the Queen in Rwanda. Now, rightly, Mr. Chairman, the blame should be on us Africans. And that's why this forum, the Pan-African Pyramid, we should now actually carry out what we call awakening call. Let me hope these debates and our views are being listened and heard by these policymakers. So in a nutshell, Mr. Chairman, the biggest problem, African economic problem, is on us, Africans. Africans. Let us wake up, rise up, and Africa will be the biggest continent on earth.
Africa is the second largest and the most populous continent in the world. We are richly endowed with minerals, resources, and as well have the most favorable climate conditions.
Toilets of world.
In March 2013, World Bank projected that most African countries will reach middle income status in 2025. We're in 2020.
You guys might be able to get somewhere in life if you'd stop fucking genociding each other.
Asking whether Western countries should be blamed for economic crisis in Africa, yes, absolutely yes. Now, many people think that the question of the economic crisis in Africa is a current one. While the rest of the world's economy was growing at an annual rate of 2% in 1974, from then to the 1990s, Africa's performance was simply in decimals. Over time, Africa's performance grew to negatives and millions of Africans, the trail of poverty, kick-started from way back till then. It is not that poverty is a new era that is simply starting. Africans are unimaginably poor to an extent that we start to think it is okay or normal for us to be poor. People will talk about the debt burden. How about we looked at the other side and started to discuss the interest rates that come with these loans? When you realize from a World Bank report, African countries have higher interest rates as compared to European countries, I think this is a deliberate move to impoverish these countries and keep them subject to European imperialism.
There's no
In
such
Uganda
thing as
today,
European imperialism.
a child is born with a debt of 1.5 million shillings. In other countries, it is different. In European countries, a child is born with the assurance that they will attain education, with the assurance that they will have medical care, they have a place to sleep, and keep basic necessities to start with.
Now, this is one of the reasons as to why I think it is us Africans to blame for our economic crisis. Really, there is a very big problem of inconsistency, leadership, governance, and democracy in Africa. Trust me, the economy cannot thrive in an undemocratic environment. You people know that today we can thrive and vote by the percentage of 5%, and tomorrow you will be down at a percentage of 80%. So what is that? What are you trying to do? So I think that we have to blame. The other thing is the education crisis. We may not agree, but trust me, most of you are not doing what you studied. And if you're doing it, you're forcing yourself onto it. You cannot tell me that you have a university student doing engineering but cannot repair a normal motorcycle, and you still say, let us blame the Western world because this thing has been structured on us.
Motorcycle is too much, a bicycle.
Thank you very much. So you cannot tell me that thing, we shall go and start blaming the Western world for that. We need to ourselves review our education system, review our curriculum. By doing so, we shall have equipped ourselves, gotten more people to be with us. You get? You've equipped yourself with labor that is skilled, and skilled as semi-skilled. That is all you need for a thriving and in an economy, for an economy to thrive. The third point is the lack of unity, Pan-Africanism and patriotism in Africa. This has made most African leaders to start pushing to forget the interests of Africa and start pushing personal interests. They start pushing family interests. They start pushing interests of their leaders. Some time ago, I think some month ago in Uganda, some minister was asked, how did you sign this? I don't know what I signed. Really? You don't know what you signed? Really, you should be sleeping with these things on your pillow. So you wake up, read, go and say, it's what I'm going to sign in. But someone signs and says, you know what, as we are getting this loan, I didn't know. Yet China is coming here and saying, we need our money. So these things, I think, the lack of unity, patriotism, and Pan-Africanism is what will continue to bring us down together. Now, after all those problems, and many more that my comrades have talked about, I will come with a solution.
Yes.
As long as we do not see the unification of Africa, we are going to have these Zoom meetings, we are going to have these conferences, we are going to go as delegates where and where, but trust me, as long as there is no unification of Africa, we shall still go back to these things, complaining about and blaming our exes 50 years ago for our problems. The unification of Africa will rectify the problem of lack of bargaining capacity that we are not having, that we can have after unifying, getting united as Africans. I'm not saying that it should become one block country, because we know it may not be possible for a meantime. But at least let us have regional blocks. I'm very happy that the East African community, year by year, is enlarging. How about South Africa starts from the other side? By the end, we have 4 blocks. South Africa comes from this side, the East African community has come, and we can have North Africa from the other side. And by the end of 5 years, 10 years, we have 4 blocks, and we are bargaining as 4 blocks against. Through that, we can have exportation of labor. Through that, we can have the exportations that we are talking about. Most of these things, we tax ourselves a lot of money. You find Kenya charges a tax on a commodity that is passing through Kenya. Remember, it is going to Rwanda or Burundi. It reaches Uganda taxes. It reaches Burundi, Rwanda taxes. By the time it reaches Burundi, it is very expensive for this common person to consume. So what are we trying to say? Let us have a unified Africa. Let us all push for a unified Africa. And through that, we shall get what we preserve.
If you can see, even no one has come out to explain the current economic crisis, because it is even affecting the whole of the world. Not only Uganda, not only Africa, and some other countries. Why? This is because of the dollar. The elimination of Colonel Muammar Gaddafi and Saddam Hussein was also in relation to protection of the dollar. If you can see it. It was, yeah, it is true. It was to protect the dollar. How? This is, if you can see this, the Western powers were threatened. They were threatened by the single African currency, which was going to be backed by gold. And that currency would be among the strongest currencies, and people would lose trust in the dollar and in their currencies, and that was a threat to them, and they could find all ways to eliminate these leaders, all these great leaders. And you see, they have set policies such as that oil, all countries which sell oil, it has to be exchanged in terms of dollars. If you use any other currency, you are held accountable. Have you seen?
Omnani komoti, ngaba kova ngani.